Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Just Enough Heshy show. It's going to be really a good show. At about 5 after 9, when we get onto the main broadcast, we have this guy. I was talking to him for like a few minutes and texting with him, Roger Stone. I'm not just excited. I'm very excited. I mean, this is the guy that is my hero. This is the guy that I actually want to be. I mean, he dresses much better than I do, so who cares? But he is just great. And we're going to start the show with a bunch of, once the three stations come on live. But I want to welcome my Instagram fans. I think I got it right perfect this week, both of you live. My YouTube and Facebook fans and all you other listeners around the country. I want to tell you something. And it's still not on. It's not going to be on the main stations because I'm not going to repeat it when I start. But you know, me and my son, we argue about how I should act, how I should behave, how do I deal with my competitors, and I'm going to ask it to you guys because I'm going to tell you straight out. They want me to be civil. They want me just to tell you what I do and how I do it. And I do. I tell you all the time what I do. I don't even want to tell you that today I had people coming in and I had a bad day due to some personal reasons that came up in our family. And still I took in people, constituent services. Still I'm dealing with the customers. Still we're doing that. I'm not bragging. And all of a sudden today I get a mailer in the mail. My competitor, who I have so much bad things to say about. Stuff that he's done, not only illegal, but he has hurt other women sexually and personally. So they tell me, Heshy, behave. He sends out a mailer about me today. A mailer, and I want Roger Stone to answer this because I don't know what else to do because maybe he can control me. The man sends out a mailer that I was arrested federally and domestically 21 times. I have lawsuits. I tell you that I work for the city, that the tenants sue me for the city. I myself am a landlord. I fought the banks. I fight the city. I really had 2,000 court cases alone this year, ECB cases. They were like 10 minutes each, that I'm helping people. These are the things that we do, and they write stuff about me that is lies. Or he doesn't, one of the court cases, and I just want to tell it to my fans before I go on to the radio, we took in a man that was sick with COVID, very, very sick. He was going to die. He was 57 years old. And he told me in the hospital, if you don't come save me, Heshy. And I just had an apartment open, and I knew him for many years. I brought him to the house, and me and Linda nursed him to health. Ran after him, bought him clothing, bought him bed, everything he needed. I put him in a special apartment that was just vacant, and I fixed up. He filthied it up. He broke it up. He dirtied it up. I mean, he put stuff on the walls. He crapped on the floors. I'm embarrassed to tell you. Finally, after like a year, a little bit more than a year and a half, he left. He left. And he disappeared. Garbage. I'm talking, he didn't have stuff in there. It was garbage. Calls me up, I'm not coming back. I have a girl. My wife came. I can't sleep. It's made for one person, studio. A month later, he calls me up. I'm coming back. I said, I can't take you back. I'm fixing it up. I have somebody else. No, you illegally evicted me. I said, I didn't evict you. I never gave you a lease. He sued me in court. I have even a release that he came to me afterwards for $600 just to give him money for his drugs. Then he sued me again. And his lawyer, who actually that I fight with his lawyer on different buildings, said Heshy doesn't lie and Heshy's telling the truth. My point being is they use, just like with Donald Trump, they use stuff and they say things and they turn it around. And sometimes it gets to me. Sometimes it hurts me. And I don't know what to do. And do I give up? So I'm going to tell you something very serious while we start our show now. And I know that Roger Stone is going to hear this quote and he's going to have a good laugh. And I want him to hear this quote because he's the one really why I want to say the quote about him. And I want to say the quote about me because I think he will understand it and he's going to explain it to us during the show a little bit more. Roger, give me one moment. Is Roger with us already? Beautiful. So we're going to start the show right now and I'm going to start you my quote. We'd like to welcome all my fans from WSNR Radio, Channel 620 AM Live, Davidson Radio, Channel 1640 WJPR, the 1640 AM, and WVIP 93.5 FM. We have Roger Stone on the show tonight, and I want you all to be excited. And here's my quote for the day. It's from the greatest president that I liked. Of course, I liked Ronald Reagan. Of course, I love Donald Trump. Here's a quote. And this quote is really made for Roger Stone. A man is not finished when he's defeated. He's finished when he quits. I tell you, I had such a bad day. It was like next week is election. It's getting to me. It's ready to break me down. And when I saw this quote, and I only brought it up because of Roger Stone, I'm going to keep on going. Now that I was very serious with you, I want to tell you a quick joke before we get Roger Stone on the phone. And this is what, Linda did to me the other day. Linda has no idea about sports. No idea. She mixes up football and baseball and hockey. So I said, Linda, I'm taking you to a baseball game. She says, okay, good. We go to the baseball game. She's never been to a game. I took her to the Yankee game, and I got seats from a friend of mine right behind the third base line, right there. At the top of the first inning, you're talking, there wasn't even an out. A guy hits a line drive, and I got up and I caught it. You wouldn't believe it. I sat down breathless with excitement, and Linda turns to me, that's so nice. How many more do you get this game? You get it? She thought it was like a free gift that I got, and it was only the first inning. She did not make it through the 9 innings. She was bitching and crying, take me home, take me home. Anyways, we have on the show tonight Roger Jason Stone. I know, I found out his middle name today. Somebody told me. He had 2 years of hell in a nightmare of what they did to him. He's an American conservative, a political operative, a lobbyist, a consultant. He worked for the greatest president, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Donald Trump. He helps with a lot of American Republican causes. He was arrested a little bit before me. I was arrested in 2020 by the mayor. He was arrested on January 25th, 2019, in connection with that idiot, Robert Mueller, the prosecutor, for witness tampering, obstruction, making false statements, and convicted. He was convicted on 7 counts. He was sentenced to 40 months of jail. He was supposed to start prison on July 10th, but he was commuted on August 17th and was pardoned by President Trump. Yeah, we're going to take this good man who didn't kill, who didn't murder, who didn't rob, who didn't steal on stupid things, spent millions and millions of dollars to convict him. And they knew that President Trump would pardon him, even though I heard he wasn't sure. I want to introduce my guest. Is he on the line? My dear new friend, Roger Stone. How are you?
Heshy, I'm delighted to be with you. And I particularly like that you use that quote. Man is not finished when he is defeated. He's only finished when he quits. That is, of course, a quote from President Richard M. Nixon. Now, many people don't recognize that if it were not for Richard Nixon, there would be no Israel today.
I know. I was going to ask you about that.
Israel would have been destroyed in the 1973 Yom Kippur War. The Syrians and the Egyptians launched a surprise attack against Israel. There was a total failure of Israeli intelligence. Israel was really facing annihilation. Their backs were against the sea. They were completely out of ammunition. Golda Meir appealed to Richard Nixon, and Nixon ordered $37 million worth of lethal aid to be airdropped to the Israelis. Dr. Henry Kissinger was against this. The Joint Chiefs of Staff were against this. The entire national security apparatus in the Nixon administration was opposed to Nixon saving Israel. Kissinger told Nixon it would be an unnecessary provocation of the Russians, and Nixon said, I don't care. These are our only allies in the region. I want this material sent overnight. Now, you hear all about the Watergate tapes, but this is the tape they never play. The next day, Nixon comes in and he says to Kissinger, so did the Israelis get the stuff? Oh, Mr. President, it hasn't gone yet. He said, what do you mean it hasn't gone yet? He says, well, the Pentagon hasn't decided what kind of airplane to use. Nixon calls the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Admiral Thomas Moorer, and he says, Admiral, if those munitions are not in the air within 2 hours, I'm coming over to the Pentagon to put my foot up your ass.
Wow.
They never play that. Now,
Roger, one question. Why were they against Israel? Like Nixon said, he was president, but he had a whole staff. Israel was our only friend there. Israel is our only friend and has helped us many times. What thinking did even Kissinger? Because I knew this. I heard this gossip, but I don't understand it. You have to explain the logic of it.
The logic of was they thought that the Russians would not react well and that they would retaliate
I got that, but that's the Cold War. We didn't care. We still have to help our friends.
Well, but Nixon didn't care. Let's be very clear. No, because a lot of my friends who say, "Oh, Nixon, on the Watergate tapes, he said anti-Semitic things." I think Golda Meir said it most importantly. What's more important, deeds or words? What people do or what they say?
Beautiful.
Nixon was a product of his times. But just to be abundantly clear, there would be no Israel today. Israel would have been annihilated. It would have been charcoal. It would have been a parking lot, but for a Republican president, Richard Nixon. And that is a fact that many on the progressive Jewish left like to ignore. But it's history, and it's a fact. Just like the fact, and you know this, Heshy, all these presidents, including the great Ronald Reagan, who I loved and I worked for in 1976, 1980, and 1984. The Bushes, who I didn't love so much.
Me too. But I did vote for them.
Arabists. But all these presidents pledged to move the capital of Israel. They all said they were going to do it, but none of them actually did it. Only one man did it, Donald J. Trump, the greatest friend Israel's ever had in the White House.
We knew that right away. We knew he'd be a great friend. We knew he'd be solid. And I supported, I'm embarrassed to tell you that I was a Democrat for all my life because that's the way my mother and parents were. Everybody in my neighborhood is a Democrat. And what happened? I knew that I voted for Reagan. I was one of the first, remember they called us the Reagan Democrats, okay? And I loved Reagan. I really liked Bush in the beginning because he was a Reagan vice president. I love Donald Trump. I love him so much that I wish I can really meet him in person. I know he saw a couple of my videos. And this is what America has come to. But here's my problem right now. We have a Republican Party that doesn't support Republicans. Can you explain that? You are a Republican all your life. You are you are a consultant. You know everything inside and out about politics. Even in my local district, I have a guy, Ted Gore, who doesn't support us. And they send out today bad information. Why would they hurt their own party when we have a chance to take this country back? We've been doing good. Like you said, without Donald, the country wouldn't have been so much better.
Well, Heshy, I think the answer is twofold. One thing is important to say is that there's no shame in being a Democrat. The old Democratic Party, the party of Harry Truman, who founded the State of Israel, the party of John F. Kennedy, who was an ardent anti-communist, who favored a major defense buildup, who supported a silver-backed dollar, who cut taxes on working people, who had a deep distrust for the intelligence agencies, which probably had a major role in his brutal murder. That Democratic Party doesn't exist anymore.
I know.
The Democratic Party, the anti-communist, pro-capitalist Democratic Party, literally no longer exists at the leadership level. That party's been taken over by socialists and communists. Some of them are communists who just call themselves socialists. But it's a thing of the past. Now, in all honesty, sadly, the Republican Party, the party of Lincoln, the party of Goldwater, the great Goldwater story. Goldwater, was half Jewish, and when he tried to get into a country club in Phoenix that was restricted, they said, "I'm sorry, we don't admit Jews." And he said, "Well, I'm only half Jewish. What if I get in the swimming pool just up to my waist?" Lines of all time.
I want to ask you. I want to ask you something. This great country of ours, and I'm embarrassed to say this, we are $32 trillion in debt. Almost $100,000 for every man, woman, and child live here. We have a government that has our borders wide open. They let the cartels exploit fentanyl to our children. Department of Homeland Security is not really a department, doesn't secure anything over here. And I want you to know, just like you, when they arrested you, and this bothers me, there's a guy by the name of Scott Smith that was labeled a domestic terrorist for defending his daughter in a school board meeting after she was assaulted in a bathroom. And my question is for you. You're a good man. You do nothing wrong. You can say whatever you want. We have the Fifth Amendment. And here's another question, two parts. Why did you talk to them? Why didn't you just take your amendments and say, shut up, Congress, Senate, I don't care. But
Well,
we have,
in retrospect, that's what I should have done. Let's be very clear. They charged me with lying under oath in my voluntary testimony,
right.
when in truth, while I did make misstatements, none of them were material, none of them were irrelevant. There was no Russian collusion to lie about.
I know.
There was no WikiLeaks collaboration to lie about. You wouldn't know any of that by reading the media coverage of my trial. But the truth is, I didn't do anything wrong. That's why I had no reticence about talking to them. I didn't know that Robert Mueller was going to tell multiple federal judges, we have probable cause to charge Stone for treason, conspiracy against the United States, money laundering, millions of dollars, mail fraud, wire fraud, misprision of a felony, unauthorized access to a government computer. Heshy, they had proof of none of those things.
I know.
None of those
And
things.
still they convicted you. Aren't you upset that this country can do something to Roger Stone, who's a good man, an honorable man, then they suck you dry for every dollar? And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, they take our money, they arrest us, they knock us. How are we going to make America better? I mean, I'm going into office. I'm going to fight them. How do you? What's your advice to me and to the rest of us that is asking Roger Stone how to make? How are we going to protect ourselves?
It's really very, very simple. We have an extraordinarily powerful executive. If you elect a president, you can change the government from the top down. Donald Trump, who's a very good man, is not a politician. And he didn't really understand how deep the swamp was.
Right.
And he thought, kind of naive, that when you got to Washington, there were two teams, the Democrats who would be against him and the Republicans who, like they rallied around Reagan, who was also an outsider, would rally around him. He never understood that Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton would use, in the greatest single dirty trick in American political history, would use the full authority of the U.S. government and the extraordinary capability of the intelligence agencies in an illegal, illicit effort to unseat a duly elected president. Now, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
John Durham testified about it today, but I got an obvious question. They indicted Donald Trump on some completely fugazi indictment in which they claim he mishandled presidential documents. It's a fraud. The courts have already ruled that as president, he can do anything he wants with the documents. So if you're Bill Clinton and you kept the documents in your sock drawer, that's perfectly all right. But if you're Donald Trump and you kept them in a box in your office or your bathroom for that matter, that's not all right. But they indicted him 2 weeks ago. They want to go to trial this August, just weeks from now. John Durham, however, takes 5.5 years to tell us what we already knew. Obama knew that there was no Russian collusion. Biden knew. The Attorney General Loretta Lynch knew. The FBI Director James Comey knew. The CIA Director John knew. But
so Roger, they know this is fake. They know we're going to figure it out. You know, everybody in the beginning was nervous to Russian collusion, which I never was. We figure out it's fake. And they continue to spend millions and millions of dollars to go after him. And that even if they get him, I mean, he's 75 years old. He's going to win presidency. If he wins the presidency, can he just pardon himself and this all ends?
Yes, and that's probably exactly how it will play out. But you're right, they're petrified because now you have an older, wiser Donald Trump who completely gets the game. So there won't be any mistakes in the next administration. I mean, what's amazing about Trump was when you consider how many quislings, how many rats he had around him, how great he did. I mean, you had the most robust economy in American history.
I know.
You had record job creation, record wage growth, the lowest level of unemployment among all Americans, Black Americans, white Americans, Hispanic Americans, urban, rural, old, young. We had a boom economy. He rebuilt our military strength. He moves the capital of Israel. I mean, he was a very successful president, but he's even going to be more successful in his second term, and his second term will come. And that's why they are so petrified. That's why they have weaponized the entire justice system, because Heshy, they know they cannot win a free, fair, honest election. I don't know about you. Gas prices are not too good. I don't know about you, but you go to the grocery store and most of the shelves are empty. And even if you could find food, I went to the grocery store the other day and I bought a steak. Well, wait a minute. It wasn't really a steak. It was more like 3 bites of a steak, $12.99. Inflation is killing people.
Yeah.
We have 370,000 homeless veterans in our country. Oh, never mind that. Ship billions over to Ukraine, where most of us, as I think we all know,
No common sense. Billions and billions of dollars are being wasted. Even in my own city, we have I'm embarrassed to tell you, $107 billion budget, which right there, 17 billion they added. They're taking in migrants. They don't care about my homeless people. We know it's somebody smart businessman, and Donald is very smart. I mean, President Trump, and I love him. I can't wait for him to be reelected. I hope he does exactly what you do. I hope he really, this time, like he says, cleans the swamp. Now, I want to go another direction. You know, COVID hurt President Trump. I know.
Yeah.
I don't think he handled that too well. Is COVID real?
Oh, COVID is very definitely real. The point, of course, is it was never nearly as deadly as they told us it was.
Right.
But more importantly, here's what they didn't tell you. If you got the vaccination, that made you far, far more likely to be infected with COVID.
And also give you a lot of people, including my wife, were mentally affected. I didn't get affected because I've been doing shots, but a lot of people, and I've seen in the hospitals, getting affected and really falling apart. They lied to us and they cheated us again. Billions and billions of dollars.
Right here in Florida, for example, Governor Ron DeSantis insisted over and over again, it's safe, it's effective. If you take it, you won't get the virus. That was not true.
I know.
Now, the truth of the matter is I would have handled it differently. Trump never said you had to take it, never made it mandatory, although they tried to. Wanted to open the country back up far earlier than many others, such as Governor Ron DeSantis. I honestly think it probably is the one area where I myself have strong disagreement with the president. But let me make a more important point.
By the way, COVID is still, everybody thinks that the mandates are over. I was in a hospital today where I saw them wearing masks, and they're still giving only certain hours due to COVID restrictions. And I argued with them. I said, COVID is over. So the government is somehow controlling us. I know maybe COVID was real or not. I don't care. I don't believe it was. It didn't affect me. But I know that they used it for their benefit to control us and to hurt us. And I'm very angry. Like I told you, I don't believe in, and I want to read this to you, I don't believe in a government that interferes with the ability of the American people to carry out their normal lives. And even though you said COVID, if a bureaucrat shows up in your house, you're not going to be happy about it. Yeah, maybe if he's you or me, we're a fan, we're a celebrity. But most of them, we don't really care about them, and they just come in and interfere in our lives. I want to ask you one thing. You told me privately on the phone, and I hope you don't get angry that I'm repeating it. You don't want to come to New York. You're scared of New York. You're scared to walk around my beautiful street.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm realistic. You live in the crime capital of the world. Eric Adams is the worst mayor. He's the worst mayor of New York City, and that's saying a lot when you're considering the bumbling idiot who was mayor before him.
The one who arrested me twice. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to make clear to everybody who's listening, Bill de Blasio, who is not Italian, just because his last name is de Blasio.
He changed his name. He was a German. William, I forgot what his name.
Right. Not Italian. We Italian Americans do not own him. We want nothing to do with him.
Good.
The guy was stoned all the time. Let's just be clear. I mean, he was high 24/7. I used to think that he was the worst mayor in New York City history. I must say, Eric Adams is giving him a run for his money. Heshy, have you been in Manhattan recently?
Yeah.
Because every single street reeks of marijuana smoke. Every single street.
Aren't you embarrassed? I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm against it. Eric Adams went on national television to roll a joint and give it to the host. I mean, aren't you embarrassed? A 60-year-old man doing that? Is he crazy?
Yeah, well, he was extremely well dressed when he did it. I mean, please, give me a break. The guy is, he's trying to be the police commissioner and be mayor at the same time. That's not working out too well.
No.
The crime is spiking again. The streets are filthy, but more importantly, they're dangerous. So I didn't say I'm scared because I'm not scared of anything, but I am realistic, and I do know that I cannot walk a full city block in Manhattan without some schmuck calling me a Russian traitor and wanting to take a swing at me. Now, since I'm half Sicilian, that would be a gigantic mistake on anyone's part.
I agree.
But
I grew up with you Italians. I know exactly what who you
I
guys
just don't.
are.
I don't put myself in that position, to be honest, and I feel bad about it. And here's why: as you know, I have a new WABC radio
I
show
was going to talk to you about that.
every Sunday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern time. You can get it at 7:70 a.m. on the AM dial. If you live there in New York, if you live elsewhere in the country, you can get it by going to wabcradio.com. I would love to be able to go to New York City to promote my show. I would love to be able to go to the Beach Cafe, which is at the corner of 70th and Second Avenue, which is one of the few places where I can eat in peace without some schmuck giving me a hard time. I would
Oh
love to
God.
be able to do that, but in all honesty, it's not safe. And my wife doesn't want me to go because, of course, she worries about somebody, shooting me or hitting me in the head. That is Eric Adams' city. The
Yeah,
city is burning. The city is on fire.
I know.
How are the taxes, by the way, Heshy? Are the taxes low in New York? How
I
is
want
that?
you to have a good laugh. During COVID, they raised our taxes by 18%, and our property taxes by 18%. And our councilman woke up the last day who I'm running against, and he said, "Oh, I couldn't stop it." I said, "You had 6 months to try to stop it." And while nobody's watching, they raised our taxes. They closed our parks. Roger, just a little liberty. They closed our parks in an open area. I had to cut the locks. They told me they would arrest me. They ended up arresting me. And you know what? Then the politicians see when we beat them, they join in, and then they take credit. I don't care about the credit. What I care is that they make us suffer till we get something done. Here's my real question for you. Will Mr. Trump get reelected, or is it we're hoping and praying he gets reelected?
Look, it's not easy because you've got the full fake news media against you.
Right?
You have the Democrat media cabal against you. So he's got to run the table. It's like drawing to an inside straight in a poker game. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen. Look, I believe with God, anything is possible.
Yeah.
I'm here today. I should have died in a dank Georgia prison where they wanted to send me, even
Never.
though I did
Never.
nothing whatsoever wrong. Nothing. There is no Russian collusion to lie about. There was no WikiLeaks collaboration for me to lie about. The judge said to me at sentencing, "You have been convicted of lying to cover up for Donald Trump." To which I say, cover up what? Cover up what? There was nothing to cover up. We now know that definitively. So these people will
Roger, but the judge
ruin
did have a
your
right.
lives.
Roger, the judge did have a right to overturn the whole conviction. Didn't the
But
judge have common sense?
the Trump hating, biased judge who hated me from day one. She should be removed from the bench. She's
She
not
should.
impartial. She was
Right.
never impartial. That's why they judge shopped to make sure that my case was in front of her. The judge was not randomly selected. They claimed my case was connected to a non existent case in which the Russians hacked the DNC, which never actually happened. They have no evidence of that. It never happened. The whole system is broken. Meanwhile, there in New York City, if you're in Manhattan and you hit some little old lady over the head and you steal her purse, yes, they'll arrest you, they'll arraign you, and they'll put you back out in the street within 15 minutes so you can do it again.
You hit it
Thank
on the button. On the button. A Black Lives Matter came to my house in front of my wife and grandchildren, attacked me, tried to run me over. They arrested him after we found him, and they let him go, and he went and attacked two more people. Exactly what you just said.
But here's my point. If your neighbors voted for Kathy Hochul, if
Yeah.
your neighbors voted for Eric Adams, God bless, you got what you want. When your neighbor's on fire, when you are beaten senseless outside your own home, when your money won't buy anything anymore, congratulations, you got what you asked for. You deserve it. That's the way it is. It's very, very sad.
I know.
All of these zombie Democrats, enjoy while your neighborhoods are destroyed. Enjoy when you don't have, you can't afford anything. Enjoy when the gas prices are out. But you voted for this. Enjoy it. It's what you asked for. No complaining because it's what you asked for, what you voted for.
Yeah.
I think New York State is finished, Heshy. I think it's done. The quality of life is going in the toilet, but God bless. That's what your neighbors voted for. Let them have it. And when rich people are pulled out of their homes in Park Avenue and beaten senseless, they really have nothing to complain about because that's what they voted for. They deserve it. That's what they should get. It's very sad. Very sad.
I know. And you're right what you're saying. I can't. I just can't accept it. I've been here
No,
for
no
all my
complaining.
life, 60 years. I
Democrats,
can't give up New York. I can't leave. I can't. This is
but
my home, my
if you
children.
voted for Democrats, you deserve the crime. You deserve the filth. You deserve the cost. You deserve the taxes. Enjoy. People should have what they chose, but no complaining. Don't complain because this is what you chose. It's very sad.
Yeah.
The New York that I knew, the New York that I love, because I grew up, in northern Westchester, right outside the city. That New York is over. You're the crime zombie, drug zombie capital of the world. But folks in New York, enjoy. This is what you voted for. This is what you deserve.
I hate
It's
that you're
very
saying
sad.
that. You know why I hate that you're saying it? But not only is it true, it just bothers me that you're right, and I'm going to make a change. I want to ask you something else.
Sure.
Back to Donald Trump for a minute, President Donald Trump. The man is a billionaire. He's a good man, an honorable man, not a racist. I've seen the charity. I knew him. I didn't really know him. I bumped into him once, but I've seen what he's accomplished. Why does he need this? I mean, look at me. They come after me, and I'm ready to give up. Here, they impeached him twice. They embarrassed him. They sucked him for money. They tortured him. They cheated him. Why is he? I know he's not crazy, and you're the one that conned him into this presidency. I heard in the 1980s. I mean, isn't it just time to give up? I mean, I'm so proud of him that he doesn't. But what makes him continue after everything they've done to him? I mean, it doesn't make sense what they did to him. Can't he
It makes,
see that the system is against him?
it makes perfect sense. Why is he doing it? How about because he loves America? How about just that? He
Yeah.
didn't do it because he needed a bigger house. I've been in this house in Palm Beach, much nicer than the White House, in all honesty. Much bigger, much nicer. He didn't do it because he wanted a bigger plane. His plane is substantially nicer than Air Force One, and Air Force One is beautiful. He didn't do it because he wanted to be well known, because everybody knows Donald Trump, and everybody loved him, black, white, everybody loved him
Yes.
before he got into politics. He's doing this not for himself. He's not doing it because he needs it. He does not even do it because he wants it. He's doing it simply because he loves his country. How about that for a good reason? I don't want a guy like George Bush, who was a very small, tiny, hateful little man who needed to be president to be somebody, because he was never somebody. He had to be president to become somebody. Donald Trump is already somebody. He doesn't need the job. I want a guy who doesn't need the job. I want a guy who isn't burning with the ambition to have the job, like, say, Joe Biden, or as we now call him, President Joe Bribeden, which would be much closer.
Exactly. And they're not gonna impeach him, and they're not gonna do nothing to him, and he's gonna get away with it. Oh gosh.
Well, I'm not quite as fatalistic as you are, because God can do anything. The fact that I'm even here to talk to you at this late hour when I'm pretty punch drunk just proves the point. So I'm not ready to throw in the towel. I'm not ready to give up. I think it's very sad that where you live, a lot of people just automatically vote for the Democrats, but that's fine. When your neighborhood's on fire, when you have to deal with rampant crime, when the taxes are so high you can't afford anything, God bless you. That's what you voted for. Enjoy.
I know, and it gets even worse because now with the left and the Democrats, they're allowing them to teach our children, not only in public schools, but in the religious schools, transgender, lesbian, gay. Now, I don't mind you want to be gay or lesbian, but you don't have to teach it to my children. We have a limit on how old you can be when you join the army, how old you can be when you drink, how old you can be when you smoke. There should be a limit on how old you can be and who can teach you about sex and drugs and all that stuff. But it seems like it's like a catch-22. You do one thing with their way, and then you can't do anything your way. What do you think about this transgender, these crazy new rules?
I think consenting adults should be able to make decisions about their own lives.
No
What you
problem.
do in the privacy of your own bedroom, if you're an adult, that's up to you. That's the American way. But forcing this on children doesn't make any sense to me. Children who are not old enough to understand sex, not old enough to understand their own feelings, having it forced on them. No, I think that that's very wrong. I have gay friends. I have lesbian friends. They're adults. They have made their own decision. God loves all people,
Yeah.
even when you choose that lifestyle. But we're not talking about consenting adults here. We're talking about forcing this dogma, forcing this ideology on children. And I'm against that, but that's what they seek to do.
And they seem to understand it. They think it's normal.
But if you voted for Hochul and you voted for Eric Adams, congratulations, folks, you have chosen that. So when your grandchildren, your children are being forced into this transgender thing, don't complain, because that's what you voted for. You're getting what you voted for.
Well, they started this new ranked choice voting, which I don't know how it works really. That's why it's foolish.
Ranked chalk voting is a fraud. It makes
Yeah.
sure that no Republican can ever win in New York State again,
Exactly.
which I don't
Exactly.
think is going to happen anywhere, but it doesn't matter. Don't you get it? The whole state, the whole city is going to burn. It's going to collapse in on itself. You can't
I'm going to
sustain this
stand
level
here,
of spending.
Roger. I'm standing here at the front
No,
lines. I'm not going to let it. I can't. I can't leave, Roger. I love Florida. I was there for the holidays, but I can't. This is my home. This is where I raised my children. My
I give
father was saved from the Holocaust over here. This is where we came. I'm not going. I can't give it. I can't give it to the left. I can't give it to them, and I won't.
I give you huge credit for standing and fighting. I really hope that you were successful in your candidacy. I know that there are many, many, many good people, including my own relatives, who live in New York and don't want to leave. All I'm saying is it's a rigged system. You have
I
too
know.
many stupid people who will continue to vote against their own best interests. All I'm saying is you can't vote for Hochul and Eric Adams and the rest of these Democrats and then complain about the conditions because these are the conditions that you have chosen. And therefore you have to live with the consequences of them. It's very, very sad. I mean, I have many, many cousins and other relatives still in New York. They wish that they could move here. So I give you huge credit for staying and fighting, for standing up for the right things. And maybe with a prayer, we will elect a few good people. But overall, I don't think elections in New York State are fair and honest. I
No.
just don't.
On
I
election day, I want you to know every election that I've seen over the last 10 years. I'm just telling you, something happens on election day. A poll site, the polls are broken, the internet is down. You have to hand in the paperwork, or the technicians are not around. I mean, the machine is not working, or half the machines. We have a whole year to work on one day to work. I know in my office, if the computers go down for an hour, we all have mental attacks. I was fighting with my producer. You're down for 15 minutes today. It doesn't work like that, but the government can shut down poll sites or not take votes or not
because
be prepared for the one day where they hire so many people and still we're not prepared. So you are right. Something is
it's
wrong with
not a
this
mistake.
voter.
It's not a mistake. It's not an accident or a mistake. This is the way they want it. This is the way they plan it. If you vote for Democrats, this is what you're voting for.
You can't
It's
get
that
rid of them.
simple.
I'm trying. I know that, you see, even though we only have like 8 Republicans in the city council, there are a lot of conservative Democrats now. They're creating a kind of caucus that will not be Democrat. That means we're not going to think like them. We're not going to vote like them. They're elected as Democrats. And if I can get 26 of us together, 8 of us, that means all I need is another 18 of us to just think differently. We can take Adams and dump it. We can get, Carmen Yeager, my opponent, told me, Heshy, that he's going to make sure to put a legislation in that will never allow a mayor to have emergency powers to shut down the city without him. You think he did it once he got elected? Now he's on his last term. He doesn't care. This is our politicians, that they lie and take. We need, like you said, Hochul came into my town, and I'm embarrassed to tell you, she promised a big organization $14 million. And they got it. They got it. That's how she got elected with a lot of the Jewish people.
To meet her, you should demand she take an IQ test because there's not much there.
I
Not
know.
much
I,
at all.
I heard her talk many times. Dumb like a piece of wood. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
And
dumb
she
as a
gets
box
up
of
there
rocks.
and she walked into my neighborhood, in a religious Jewish neighborhood, not even dressed. I mean, she dressed somewhat modestly with the short skirts, and all the Hasidic men surrounded her that wanted her money. But that's about it. She's really a dumbbell, and she never came back here again. She came once, got elected, so we're not going to see her now for another 4 years, when you should be running around, and she's always hanging out in New York and Manhattan, and she's worried about New York City, not the rest of the state. New York, New York, New York City, New York City. Just like Cuomo, they knew how to torture us and come after the Jews. It was terrible.
Agree.
Roger, before you leave us, and you're not leaving us so fast, I want to know what your plans are for the future. What is your who are you going to help when, if Trump gets elected again? What are your plans?
Look, I just want to help save the country. After my near-death experience, my children, my grandchildren said, "Look, maybe it's time to hang it up. You don't need to be in these political fights anymore."
I love you. I want to hear
Five
this.
books. I've been to five. I've written 5 books. Just go to the beach, relax, write some historical books, lay low. Actually, I'm not doing that. I'm a warrior. I'm going to fight for the country, legally, of course, but within the political arena. Trump can win again. He doesn't need New York State, in all honesty. As president, he was very, very good to New York State, despite the fact that It didn't vote for him. It will probably never vote for him. I feel very badly about the quality of life in New York City and in New York State. But in all honesty, the people, they deserve what they get. This is what they voted for, and
It's
it's the
not
way
only
it is.
what it's not only the people what they get. Remember, we have in our city another 80,000 homeless people on the street that are being suffered and punished because of the incompetence of our local government. And now Mayor Adams brought in 72,000 more migrants, added to our budget $4 billion that we don't have. And I'm not being mean to the migrants. They hear it. There's nothing I could do. But at least come up with a plan, no ideas, just sucking us for more money. And now we just doubled our homeless population from 80,000 to 160,000 by putting them in a fake hotel. And I want you to know something. They want to put them in our homes for $60 and $100 a night. Just imagine, Roger, that I'm desperate for money, and there are people desperate for money. I'm ashamed to tell you. We take in 3 migrants and they kill and rape you. What are you going to say then, Mr. Mayor?
No, it's very sad, but let's be very clear. Eric Adams, you complain about the illegal immigrants, but then you turn around and you support Joe Biden. So this is your president. These are your policies that you support. You can have a little press conference and say, oh, Kathy Hochul should change the bail laws or Joe Biden should change the immigration laws. But then you endorse Joe Biden and you endorse Kathy Hochul. So it's all a fugazi game. It's a fraud. If you're, I mean, Ed Koch would not support Jimmy Carter, a Democrat of his own party, because Carter was against Israel. He would not support Jimmy Carter. That's a man of stature. Ed Koch was a Democrat. Ed Koch was a Jew. Ed Koch would not endorse Jimmy Carter as a matter of principle. Eric Adams bitches about Joe Biden's immigration policies, but then he endorses Joe Biden, which shows you that it's all a kabuki act. It's all a fraud. He complains about the bail policies, but then he endorses and supports Kathy Hochul.
Right.
So it's all an act for the people. So Eric Adams can go to a nightclub and hang out with felons tonight and drink. That's what it's all about.
I hate that you're telling the truth. Like, what's your opinion on General Flynn? Now, this whole Russian collusion started with him, if I'm correct. What's your
Yes,
opinion on him?
he's a very good friend of mine. He's one of the most decent men I know. He knows more about geopolitics than anybody. It's funny you ask. He's going to be on my show at wabcradio.com or WABC Radio at 77 a.m. on the dial. This Sunday at 3 o'clock, my guest is General Michael Flynn. This guy suffered even more than I did. The same gang of criminal prosecutors who tried to take me down tried to take him down in the same courthouse, the same prosecutors, the same judges, the same corrupt system. General Flynn will tell you the truth. When they tell you that the Ukrainians are kicking the daylights out of the Russians, that's a joke. The Ukrainians are getting their asses kicked.
Yeah.
Putin will not lose this war, sadly. And I'm not pro-Russian. So if you're listening, don't try to say that, oh, Stone. No, my relatives in Budapest, Hungarian Catholics, they got mowed down by Russian tanks. So don't try to say that I'm pro-Russian. I don't like Putin. I don't like the Russians. I don't like their authoritarian form of government. The only guy I can think of who's worse than Putin would be, oh, I don't know, Zelensky. Because in Ukraine, they arrested everybody who ran against him. They shut down every political party but his. Wow. They arrest journalists. They shut down newspapers. They shut down radio stations. They shut down television stations. They arrest priests and rabbis. Ukraine is not a democracy. When they tell you this is about democracy, that's a load of crap. He's an authoritarian dictator thug, although in this case, he's just a gay actor hired to play the president by a bunch of rich guys in the back room. But this is not a fight between a free state, a democratic state, and a dictatorship. These are two dictatorships, and Zelensky is stealing most of the money that we send there. It's going in pockets.
I heard President Trump state that when he becomes president, he can end the war in a day.
I think that's true. Let me tell you why it's true. First of all, who is it who shut down the Russian oil pipeline? Donald Trump. Who is it who gave the Ukrainians offensive missiles? That was Donald Trump. So this idea that he's in the pockets of the Russians, that's a load of crap. He got a historic peace agreement in the Middle East that everybody said was impossible. He talked the guy in North Korea into backing off his nuclear weapons development program. Now he's right back at it because he's not afraid of Joe Biden. He laughs at Joe Biden. And you saw the Secretary of State yesterday visited China and basically said, hey, if you guys just want to take Taiwan, it's no big deal. Go ahead, help yourself. So we're being laughed at around the globe. Nobody fears Joe Biden. They know that he's not in his right mind. He falls down. What do you think they think of that? They're laughing. They're laughing in the Saudi capital. They're laughing in Iran. They're laughing in China because they know that no matter what they do, Joe Biden will do nothing. When the Chinese invade Taiwan, which is coming, Joe Biden will send a strong letter of protest. That's what he'll do. He won't do anything else. It's very sad. Very sad.
Is it true that that there was a peace agreement already in place between Ukraine and Russia, and Boris Johnson stopped it? That's what I heard on some newscast.
I have read that. I think that we in the United States, there were two different peace agreements. Even Biden said publicly he would have been willing to give up certain parts of Ukraine to get peace. But we're not even at the negotiating table. Biden and the Biden administration object to Zelensky having any peace talks. You can't, if you're not talking to people who have nuclear weapons, if you have no dialogue with them, that's very dangerous.
So it's not worth it. Look at all this. How could it be worth it? Billions and billions of destruction, people being killed, and nobody wants to make. I mean, no. I mean, the rest of the world, we just go on. You and I, we go on every single day. It doesn't. I don't understand that we're going on every single day in our lives, and we just don't ignore that this is a very serious issue. It's a real war. People are being killed, and we're busy giving money to continue the war instead of I don't know.
Which is why, and this is a good place to stop because I really am losing my voice. But in all honesty, Heshy, Donald Trump is the one man. He's this consummate deal maker. He proved in the Middle East he can do it. He proved in North Korea he can do it. The Chinese wouldn't dare invade Taiwan if Donald Trump were president. And he's open about this. He told Putin, you go into Ukraine, I hit Moscow. I hit him with everything I've got. He said, Vlad, you'll be in bed with your Russian whores. You're going to look up. The missiles will be coming through the roof. I'm telling you. Now, Trump will admit, did Putin think he would really do it? The truth is Putin wasn't sure. Even if Putin thought there was a 10% chance that Trump would do it, it kept him from invading Ukraine. It kept the peace. Donald Trump's the only president in my lifetime in which there was no new foreign war started during his presidency. And in fact, he brought many of our troops home. But when he brought them home, we used the drone technology to keep the Islamic terrorists pinned down so that the countries didn't teeter and fall. Unlike Joe Biden, who just cut and run, cost 13 Americans their lives, leaves billions of dollars of sophisticated equipment on the ground in Afghanistan so the Chinese can get it and copy it. It is absolutely disgraceful.
I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go, but I want to ask you one thing. America's future, do we have a chance? Are we going to make it better, or are we dead?
No, we're going to make it better because God can do anything. And I believe this nation is blessed. And I think we're going to go through some very tough times. The Bible predicts all of this. Yeah. The Bible tells us that there were going to be dark times before things get better, but God is in control. I really believe that. I know people out there saying, oh, come on, Roger Stone.
Yeah.
He's a hard-boiled political operative. When Roger Stone starts talking about God, that's a head fake. That's a pose. That's No, I don't care what they think. Heshy, I don't care what they think. Right. Over at the New York Times, I don't care what they think. Over at the New York Daily News, I don't care what they think. I only care what he thinks. He knows what's in your heart. America will be saved, and the man who can save it is Donald J. Trump, the greatest friend Israel ever had, the greatest president America's ever had. He will be back. Trust me on this.
I love you. Have a great night. Hey, if you're ever going to Bedminster and you need a ride, please call me because I'll give you the ride. I just want to get in and shake the man's hand. Have a good night. Have a great week. Enjoy your interview with General Flynn. And may God bless you. God bless this great country and everybody in it.
Actually, I want to remind everybody who's listening, go to WABC this Sunday, 3 o'clock, 770 on the AM dial. Or if you're at a computer, go to WABCradio.com. You're not going to want to miss this incredible interview with General Michael Flynn. He's going to tell you what's really going on in Ukraine, what's really going on in the war between Russia and Ukraine, and many other important things. He's going to analyze the situation with the Red Chinese, who, even as we speak, are buying up New York State, bridges, tunnels, roads, highways, farms, ranches. They're buying up your state right around you. They have a police station in New York City where they spy on their own Chinese citizens to make sure that they're not, that they're not disloyal to the red Chinese government. So Heshy's been great to be with you.
I
I
love
hope you'll
you.
tune in on Sunday. God bless you.
I
And
will be
Godspeed.
tuning in. Thank you so much, Roger. Good night. Thank you for everything. Take a risk. Everybody, that was Roger Stone, the incomparable Roger Stone. There's no match to this man. You see his energy level, his excitement, and he tells it to you the way it is. I agreed with him. You see how he understood even the quote that we started the show with, that a man is not finished when he's defeated. He is finished when he quits. That man, they tried to get him. They tried to defeat him. They tried to crush him. You can't touch him. And I was so excited when he was on my show. He made me so happy. And I want to tell you something that I didn't have a chance to tell you. I want to know something, what you think, what I'm thinking. I don't want, and I tried to start this out, the government to interfere with the ability of the American people to carry out their normal lives. What I said about COVID, what was the last time that you let a bureaucrat show up at your house and said, oh, jolly, he's here. You know that you're not happy when he's around, but you're going to trust him with your COVID. You're going to trust him with your family. When was the last time you were thankful, and I try to tell this to all of you, for $32 trillion in debt, $100,000 for every American child, man, and woman? Is anybody thankful that our borders are open and not secure? Really, it's not secure. Really, they can come through anytime they want. I don't mind regular people, but you have murderers, killers, drug dealers. Is anybody thankful for all the fentanyl that is coming to our children? Fentanyl. I mean, they do whatever they want. They label they want. Here's the best one. Are you happy that the IRS, I love this one, that the IRS is able to audit you 3 times more than the rich people and even the minorities? They just audit us 3 times as much as anybody else because we don't have the lawyers and the money for the accountants or whatever it is. Like I told you, I got a tax bill for $2,500 that they audited me. We didn't even fight it because the accountant was $3,000-$4,000, and who knows what else they would have found. And we're very good. I've never missed a tax return for the last 43 years. This is America, and I'm ashamed to tell you that. Does America have a future? I believe America is great. I believe in the American future. I'm going to fight for the American future. I'm going to continue going. Again, like I told you today, recently my wife got a little ill. I'm running around my business. I'm running this election. Everybody's up to coming after me. I mean, my competitor, I have a bad video on him. Really, and my son, they didn't let me do it, but I have a video on him where a woman comes in here telling me that he sexually assaulted her. He has court cases against him, court cases, that he actually cheated with another man's wife while he abused his wife on his second divorce. And he got her a $250,000 job. And here's what we go. He comes after me when I'm legitimate. Of course, there's lawsuits. Of course, people say I owe them and they owe me, but I don't. I don't. You embezzled from family money. We had a family dispute that I run, that I've been taking care of. There's no family embezzlement dispute. There was no money when I started the family. I made my family money. But, again, he abused the court privileges. I'm an HPD receiver. I don't even want to be one. The judge appointed me. No lawsuits. 2 people that sued. I had to sue. When the city was under COVID, I created lawsuits. We're coming to the end of our 9:55 time, so we're going to be saying goodbye to our listeners on the stations of 6:20 a.m., 1640 a.m., and PIV 93.5. But I want to also say before you get off the air, I wanted to give a shout out that I forgot because I was so excited with Roger Stone, to my granddaughter Mira Layla, Sergeant Peter, you know I love you and you know who you are. Ellie, I love you, and I love you, Linda, and you'll get better very soon, and you'll come home, and everything will be good. But next week, June 27th, whoever's getting off the air, please go to elections. Please vote for me. Look at my website, heshytishler.com. It's not a joke. You heard what Roger Stone said. You want to make a change, or you want to be tortured and punished? Good night to my 3 stations. Have a good night, and I'm going to keep my regular listeners on for 5 more minutes and torture you with a little bit of a story. I was at a speaking event, and I told this. Maybe I told this story before on the air, and especially now with Linda down and me going through a very rough time, and this last week is so exhausting. I need volunteers on June 27th. We have a meeting here Sunday in our office. You can contact me on justenoughheshy@gmail.com, justenoughheshy@gmail.com, or go to my website at heshytishler.com. We are looking for volunteers to stand at every poll site. We don't want them to cheat. We want you to come in to help us. I mean, I think I have 30 or 40 people, but I need 60 or 70 people. I want you to come into my office on Sunday at a 4 o'clock meeting, get yourself a poll site, get yourself a shirt and hat, and come and help me. You want to see how to win an election? This is how you do it. You watch your competitor. You make sure you take notes. You videotape everything that they're doing wrong. We could win this. Get me into city council. You will see excitement. You will see a change. Am I pleading with you? I don't really need the job. I'm done after this. I mean, I'm going to go to November. I'm going to the November 7th elections no matter what. But I need to win this Republican nomination to show the leaders of the party you can't support a Democrat. You can't support a wife cheater. You can't support a sexually man who abuses men and women. I mean, women. I mean, I don't know if he abused men. He never touched me. But I think he abuses women a lot. He's a very bad man. He's not a good Jew. He's a bad Jew. He's a man that doesn't follow the rules and regulations and sends out mailers and spends tens of thousands of dollars to insult me. But when he needed me to go to a corner and scream, when he needed me to go help him with something, he had no issues. When he needed to call me about the elections, he had no problems. When he asked me to run in another district, he had no problems. Now, all of a sudden, he has problems. He has this guy from Yeshiva World, Eckstein, a lowly nothing of a man. He has a website. I mean, people watch it. People look at it. The man is a lowlife, a wife abuser, hurt his children. And we all read his website. I have no idea why. The man is a terrible person. But what you do is you go after me. You talk about me. I go to different events and speaking, and they all make fun. I let you guys make joke. But New York City is not a joke. I am not a joke. I don't even want to tell you today how many people I helped. I even had a lady come into my office today, a beautiful, nice lady, and she had a problem with her landlord. It wasn't a real issue, but she was lost. I made the phone call. I had my rough day. I picked up the phone, called the landlord. The landlord was nice to me. He heard my name. He cooperated with me. He rushed us a little bit. I figured out what the problem is, and we have it all set up, and they want me to come to an inspection. Might charge big money to come to inspections, but I do a lot of pro bono work. Why? Because I want people to be safe. I want people to be happy. I want people to come together so they can work together the next time. I want to wish my friend Esther, you know who you are, Refuah Shleimah, that you're doing great, you're doing better. I'm so happy that everything is getting better for you, and you're doing great. And the only person I don't like is my partner, Penny Liner. He stole $50 from me. No, he bought me a salad, but it was such a terrible salad. I mean, he actually put a veggie burger in there, not a veggie burger, an Impossible burger. He likes, and he's losing weight. I'm trying to lose the weight again because I'm scared. I just gained back like 8 pounds. And he bought me this salad, and I think he purposely did it to torture me because he knows I like chickpeas and other stuff. And maybe a little chicken would have been nice, Penny. But I don't know. You charged me $50 for that one. I wasn't too happy about it. Anyways, everybody, come back next week, Wednesday. Tuesday is the election, June 27th. Will I be depressed? Will I not? No matter what, I'm not. I am a tough guy. I've been on the streets. I've helped people sick, dying, hospital, people with their homes. Even today, somebody with his home being illegally extended that he just found out and the city was trying to get him and we'll get rid of the violations. I have another guy who was trying to sell his home and we legalized everything and somebody in the city is giving him bull stories about illegal, the window size and the air conditioners being encroached. I mean, we did everything by the city. He says, oh, you faked it with a Directive 14. We say, how could that be? We have inspection reports, inspectors coming. They changed the narrative. I want to stop that. I'm telling you, get me into city council. I promise you, I'm going to review that budget. I'm going to crush agency after agency. I'm going to try to get into that caucus with the 8 Republicans, and maybe we can find 18 normal brain people and take over the city. And if not, not. But at least we can show you what we can do so in the next election you would trust us and put more of your people in. Republicans are not all white, whatever. Anyways, our show has come to an end. I love you. Come back next Wednesday, and I hope you all congratulate me. My victory party will be on 46th Street and 16th Avenue.